Okay, hello everyone, and welcome back to Dream Building 101. I'm your host, Dr. Ebony Potts. I'm also the author of Next Exit Your Destiny, Taking the Road Towards the Life of Your Dreams. Information on how to purchase that book will be in the comments below. And on this channel, we speak to individuals from all different walks of life who are on different paths, and they have insights that can help you, help me as well, to live your life to the fullest and live your life and live your dreams out loud. So today, I have the pleasure of speaking to someone that I've known for quite some time, and her name is Natalie Simone. Thank you very much, ma'am, for being here today. How are you today?
I am doing well. It's blessed. I'm feeling happy. How are you?
I'm doing well, doing well. Happy to have you here. Okay, so again, thank you for being here. And why don't you tell the people who you are, what's your title, and a little bit about yourself?
So I'm a writer. I have a production company, and under the production company, Perfect Muse Productions, we do stage plays, screenplays for movies, written books under that, and most recently, I have a web series, and it was actually mentioned in the Huffington Post as one to watch, which is phenomenal because it was my first time doing a web series ever. Yeah, so a lot of these things, like I said, I'm a writer and that's what I do. So I'm a creative, but I'm a writer first. That's my purpose, and that's what God has called me to do, is to write.
All right. Awesome. So you're a writer, you've written plays. That in itself is spectacular. And never know. Maybe God has you to be right there next to Tyler Perry. I pray that is going to be your path.
Well, it's spectacular in the sense that like I never had any formal training in it. So that's why I know that it's a God gift. And I know in your book you talked about finding your gift. And that for me is, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that writing is what I'm supposed to do.
Why don't you talk about a couple of your books? What are the titles of the books that you have
Well, my
produced so
latest
far?
book is actually right here. It's called yes, you can see it. It's called
Catching
Catching
Feelings.
Feelings, yeah. And so that's my latest project. But I actually have a series, and it's called Girls Just Don't Do That. And that's the last book in the series. I have my first stage play was Only God Can Judge Me. And it's weird because that was my first time ever even thinking of doing a stage play. As a writer, I challenged myself to just to write. And I said to myself, I've always wanted to do a play. And I had, like I said, no background in writing plays or anything. And I just sat down one day and began to type. And what's weird too is that I can't type. So I pecked, and that's what
You henpeck, huh?
I pecked with these two fingers. And that's what I want to tell you. When you have a gift, no matter what you think your obstacle is, God will find a way. So I pecked my way through this stage production. I had no idea what I was doing. I mean, like I said, I had to research how to even format it correctly. And very first stage play sold out production. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. God will make room for your gift.
So, what was your career path once you graduated from high school and or beyond? And how did you end up where you are now?
Like I said, I really wished I had read your book like 20 years ago because how I got here was just so roundabout. And if I had like maybe a pathway to get here faster, and if I had honed into what God was telling me earlier, it wouldn't have taken me this long to get where I am. So I guess the long and short story of it. So I grew up in Trinidad and I went to high school there, graduated from there, and my first love actually was art. I was a big artist, and my uncle is a renowned artist in the Caribbean. So I was around a lot of artsy people, and so that was my first love. And I thought I wanted to be an artist. But as I grew older, I started liking to write poetry and short stories, and So by the time I actually graduated from high school in Trinidad, I realized that that was the direction that I want to go in. Well, I was 16 at the time, and so my mom moved to New Jersey, as a matter of fact, and she said, "You know what? You're too young to start college. Go to school, get acclimated with the American system." And so I went to Union High School for a year as a senior. So I graduated twice, if you believe that. It's crazy. Yeah. And so while I was there, I applied to NYU. And if you know NYU, NYU has probably one of the best liberal programs, probably in the world, if not the US. And I wanted to go into journalism. So I applied to NYU, did not get into that program. But what I got into was the continuing education program, which was a pathway to their program. So I got into NYU, just not into the program I want. Well, being the egomaniac that I was at the time, I was like, well, you know what, screw you. I mean, if you don't want, I don't want to go into a halfway. I want to go into programs I want to go into. So I was like, I'm not going to your school, which in retrospect was probably crazy now that I'm older, because it was a pathway to that school. But like I said, if I could have the pathway I wanted, I was like, I choose no pathway. Being young. So my mom at that time decided to move to Atlanta. And so I said, okay, I guess I'll move with you. So I applied to UGA, got into their journalism program. So I got there, I'm in the journalism program, and it dawns on me, Natalie, you can't type. And, I let fear, I was like, how can I be a journalist when I can't type? So I said, you know what, I'm just going to change programs. It was crazy, but like I said, you allow fear sometimes to talk you out of doing what you're supposed to do, because I knew that was my path. But because I was so afraid of the fact that I couldn't type, I didn't think, well, why don't you go take Megan's Beacon? It never entered my mind. I said, let me just do something else. So at that point, I became a psychology major. And, I like psychology. And honestly, I think everything works for your own good, because a lot of my character development comes from psychology. But anyway, so got a psychology degree, graduated, bam. Now, if you know anything about psychology, you have to continue on education to hope to get a job that's well paying.
Right, can do anything in that field, definitely.
Yeah. I was sick of school that time. I was done. I was like, I'm not going to school. I'm done. And so I couldn't really find a job, because that was paying anything with that major. And say, you know what? I didn't want a desk job, because I'm not a desk job kind of person. So I kept thinking, well, what can I do that's kind of fun, I might enjoy, and not going to keep me out of the office? And I remember growing up, I liked these crime stories. So I was like, cool to be a detective. So bam, out of humbug, I just joined the force, became a police officer. Now, probably 3 or 4 years into joining the force, I was made a detective, which was like unheard of too, because it takes probably 10 years sometimes to get to that juncture. But God is good, and I became a detective. I was doing crimes against women and children. I did domestic violence. I did sex crimes, juvenile crimes. I was exposed to a whole lot of things I was never exposed to, as a college student. And I think that was pivotal, because being exposed to so much and being a detective, I became very observant and very analytical. And that helps me in my character development and in my stories. So like I said, everything works how it's supposed to work, because I really believe that I had to get to that path to be where I am as a writer. So while I was doing the whole, the thing as a detective, I still had this pull in me to write. Like, I love what I was doing. I love helping people. I loved making a difference in that way, but I just felt like, I won't say empty, but I just felt like something was missing. And I said, you know what, I'm gonna write. I had a friend of mine, and she's a best friend of mine. She actually passed away before my first book was even published. But she was like, encouraged me to write, and I was like, all right, whatever. And I sat down and it just started to fly out of me. Like, it was just so easy. Like, it was effortless. I looked up and I'm in page 30. And I'm like, how is this like? When people ask you, how do you write? I don't know. Once you're in your passion, your gift, it just flows, And I don't even know sometimes how the characters end up in situations. It just happens. So yeah, so that's what happened. So I started writing my first book, and then it put it out there, and that was well received. And then at that time,
the title of your first book?
Yeah, it was Girls Just Don't Do That. And that was my first book. And from there I was like, well, why not a play? Why not challenge yourself to write a play? And I sat down, I wrote a play, and I had no experience in playwriting, and I wrote a play, and that was sold out.
Sick of sitting at your job, daydreaming about the life that you would have if you'd won that big jackpot? Do you want to design a life for yourself that you don't need to take a vacation from? Do you have a vision for your life that you just don't know how to make a reality? Next Exit Your Destiny is a witty, comical, yet straightforward guide that gives you common sense, easy to follow steps to make the life you dream of the life that you live. Get off of Unfulfilled Street, Unhappy Way, and Sunday Night Blues Boulevard and take the next exit towards your destiny today.
Even the web series, like I said, that was mentioned in Huffington Post.
And what's the title of your web series again?
It was based off Girls Just Don't Do That.
Okay.
And actually, I was it was written by someone else. I helped to co-write certain scenes, but I produced that. But just the whole project, it's when it's something that you're supposed to do. And I know mine, like I eventually, mine is like, writing, creating productions, movies. I mean, anything that is, visual or creative is what I want to do. And so it just, it just happens for you once you get into what you're supposed to do in life, if that makes sense.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I definitely agree with you. My book talks about that. I have a whole chapter on fear because we all face that. We face that even when you're not exactly in your path, especially when you're not in your path and you're being pushed towards it. That oftentimes is your biggest block. You start to make
Right.
excuses. I don't have enough money to fund this restaurant, or I don't have the training, or I don't have this and I don't have that. And hopefully people can see, especially through these different interviews with individuals. I've talked with so many people, and at least half of them have told me that whatever it is that they are doing, they either didn't have the training, don't have a mentor, didn't have all of that. They don't have those things that we often in our minds tell us that you have to do X,
Right.
Y, Z. But if it is your path, if it's something that you're passionate about, either you'll get the training, the people will present themselves, the opportunities will present themselves, and just step out there. Just step out there and learn as you go if you need to. Tell us about a challenge that you face along your path, a turn back moment, if you will, and how did you overcome it, and what did you learn from that experience?
I've had so many challenges. I mean, I think when you're on your path to doing what you want to do in life, there are going to be many. I guess the first one was, like I said, I couldn't type. I couldn't type, but like I said, the book, I mean, you can see it, look how thick it is. I pecked my way through that bit by bit, and, I became the fastest pecker you could possibly find. So that was a challenge. Also, I didn't have any like background in writing. Like my major was psychology, so I think I felt hindered from following writing because I felt like I had no training. I didn't have, that wasn't my major. So how can I write a book when I was never trained in that field? So it was my own head obstacle. I had to get beyond that and realize that that's not important. I got to follow my dreams. I think also financially, initially especially, it was very hard because with my first production, I didn't have any money. I didn't know about angel investors. I didn't know about crowdfunding and things like that. So what I did was, I remember, and it still breaks my heart to talk about it today. I had a '76 Stingray. I was big into muscle cars back then. I was restoring, and it was like my pride and joy. I loved that car, and I didn't have any money. So what did I have to do? And I think around that time, my first play came out in 2011, and around that time we had the housing market crash. So people weren't buying anything. I mean, houses were very cheap. I mean, it was just a very bad time to be selling anything at all. So what did I do? I sold my Stingray, and I probably got half the amount I would have gotten in a regular market. And right now, it probably was worth a whole lot more. Now I'm thinking. And I sold my baby in order to make room for my real baby, if that makes sense. And that was heartbreaking for me, but it gave me the money to be able to put on my first production.
What do you love about what you do, and what's the most challenging aspect of what you do?
Finding time to write and to create, because like I said, between projects sometimes we have to find ways to generate income, so I'm not always writing. So just finding the time to write, also making an effort to write, because sometimes I don't want to. Like I enjoy it, but sometimes I don't feel like it, and I have a 6-year-old, so I have to deal with her. And so just finding that time to just devote time to my passion, and also I think I looked at one of your interviews. You're talking to, I think, an actor or whatever, and he was saying that sometimes the money part of it got to him because he wanted to, I guess he had friends who were making it big or whatever the case may be. So
Yeah, you're
sometimes
talking about my interview with Tarek Davis.
yeah,
Actor.
and yeah, and sometimes you think to yourself, well, I know I'm really good. Why am I not, like, I guess I use Tyler Perry. Why am I not Tyler Perry status? Why am I not, making these $1 million movies yet? Because I know I'm just that good. So that's been challenging, knowing my worth and knowing that I'm just that good, because I know that is a God-given gift. So waiting for that. But then I also had to realize too that success is not always measured in money. And I had a professor tell me that as well. even writers who make it big and become bestsellers, they make money through guest speaking, or they have other avenues as well. They run workshops because um, things that are creative sometimes they don't generate the most income. So you have to find ways to to do that. So I think that just accepting that my success may not always be based on money. It may just be based on giving back to the world, or just living on my purpose, giving back, I guess fulfilling God's master plan for my life.
I agree. And I think another thing too for creative people, and I mean, I was in the gym this morning and this, popped into my head. I wasn't even really thinking about anything along these lines, but, it was just, I guess it was just God speaking to me. It was like, you'll live forever. When you produce a work like that, a book, a play that someone can go later on, 10 years, 20 years, I'm reading books by people who have been gone long, long ago,
That's true.
so the fact that you have put something out there in the world that can inspire someone, that can help someone think of something in a different way, that can help someone get through perhaps a difficult part in their life or see things differently. 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years from now, that work is still out there. So,
that's very interesting, because I didn't think of that. And like Zora Neale Hurston, for example, is one of my favorite authors, and she's no longer here, but her work lives on. Some of the best writers that I actually follow, or actually read, they're not here anymore, but their work, they're classics. And, 100 years from now, in college universities all over, you're going to pull that book up and you're going to read it. So yeah,
Right.
your work does live on, and,
Right.
so that's a thing I never thought of, but thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
And,
you.
I thought about the fact that, even though I may not ever meet my great great grandchildren or, whatever, but, my child or my grandchild or whoever will be able to pull my book off the shelf and say, hey, read this, this is your ancestors speaking to you, so that's that in itself, success, like you said, is not always tied to monetary things. We have to kind of reframe our minds about what success is. Being able to get up and do what makes you happy, doesn't make you depressed, doesn't make you, sit on the edge of the bed and just, want to throw up your hands is great, because there are people who are going to work every day, can't stand their job, can't stand their boss, and they don't have those outlets. They don't have those things that fill you up, and the fact that you can do things that fill your cup, which is what we all want to do. The world is out there, and there's plenty of things that drain you, the television, the politics, and the this and the that, but the more things that you can do that fill your cup makes you successful, makes you happy. And that's what it's really all about.
And like you said, sometimes even when you go into this job that you hate, or the boss that you can't stand, or whatever, having the other piece of your life that you can turn to and draw from makes your life worth living. Because
Right.
you know that, okay, yeah, from 9 to 5, whatever, you're in this office that you hate. When you come home, you're in front of the computer, or you're dancing, or you're painting, or that is worth living. The rest of it is important. That's just how you get your
Right.
income, and no one says that a job had to be perfect. This job is to make you money, right? So if you love your job, that's great. But what you have to love is your passion and your gift, because that's
Right.
what's important. How you pay your bills is irrelevant to your life, but how you live your passion and what you leave behind is what's most important. So focus on that. Focus on what you do after 9 to 5 is in the distance,
And I'm a firm believer that if you continue to focus on your passion and put your energy into it, eventually what it is that you're passionate about can become your income.
Right.
It can be something, and to me, that's the greatest gift, to be able to use what it is that drives you, that fills you up, that fills your cup, and then be able to take that and use that to be able to provide income for yourself is to me the greatest gift, and I'm hoping that we can all get there for sure, definitely.
And like I said, I agree. I would love for everyone who's focused on their gift to make income from it. That's a great thing. However, I do believe your gift is to give back. And whenever I write, I would like to make money, because it gives me money to create more projects or to even live. But when I'm writing, for example, I'm thinking like, how is this going to affect someone?
Mm-hmm.
That I want them to feel. I want them to really enjoy what I'm doing, because my gift is to give back. And everything you're doing on this earth is to give back in some way. If you're a singer or a dancer, like you want to be seen because you want to heal in that way, it's to heal other people. So the monetary part is just an advantage. Oh, it's like the gravy on your potatoes, if that
Right.
makes sense. We all love gravies on a potato, but we don't need it. So
Right. That's true.
and that's where I am right now. I'm to the point right now where I would love to make billions of dollars because it makes my life easier. But if my work is touching others and is blessing others and is inspiring others, then I've done what I'm supposed to do on this earth.
Amen.
And
I
also I
agree.
would tell you this: there are many people who actually reach the pinnacle of their profession and they make a bunch of money and they're unhappy because
They're
with money
miserable.
sometimes comes, well, you can't do this project, you can't do X, Y, and Z. Like people tell you like how they want you to write, how they want you to create. So it comes with a whole wealth of problems that you didn't even think about.
Tell someone about a recent life lesson that you've learned or had to grapple with in the last 2 to 3 years, and how that's helped you and maybe can help someone else.
Um, so I guess the biggest life lesson I had to learn was my dream is my dream. And when I say that, we have, hopefully we have spouses that will be supportive, or parents, or friends who support our dream, but they have their own dreams, and you can't depend on anyone to make your dream a reality. Your dream and your purpose is yours. I had to grapple with that because I always felt like I should have this team of people that would push me ahead because they want to see me succeed, and they do. But your dream is your own. That's probably number one thing I learned. The second thing too, I think was important. You have to hone your skills. Like you may have a talent and it may be great, but even Beyonce has a voice coach. Like you have to invest in your talent. Don't just think that because you're good at any particular skill, like that's enough. Like you have to always find a way to elevate your gift. So go back to school. Go to training, workshops. I mean, just always be investing in your craft. Um, I think the most pivotal thing I probably learned, you know, is I think it's important to vet people with your gift. Like, when I was first coming out, I was just so happy when anyone would just express interest in my books and they wanted to. Like, I had my first book. I went with this publisher, and yeah, she was awful. I mean, I hate to put it that way, but she was. But I was just so happy that someone actually was interested in my work, and I just gave her my baby, so to speak. And and it wasn't done well because she didn't know what she was doing. But because I was so happy to have someone like, you know, um, interested in my product, I just let her have it. And I think it's important now moving forward. It's important to vet people that's tied to your gift.
If you could go back 20, 25 years ago and speak to 20 or 25-year-old Natalie Simone, what would you tell her?
I
And it
would
could be related
say
to your gift or not, just in general. What would you say to her?
two things. I would say, do it scared. That's my thing right now. Even talking to you, for example, is me doing it scared. Because as a writer, we as writers, we hate talking. We talk through writing, And so 10, 20 years ago, if someone asked me to, for interview, I'd be like, no, because I was so scared of talking if it wasn't talking through paper. So just to do it scared, any opportunity that comes, I've turned down opportunities to talk to people because I had this real big fear of public speaking. I know that my gift is in writing. Not I guess my conversational, my communication gift is through writing, not through, in my mind, through speaking. The second thing I probably tell the young me too is to invest, and that means invest all around. Like invest in your talent. Don't like take shortcuts. Like really hone your craft. And also, I tell her to also invest monetarily. Oftentimes we don't put money aside. Thinking that as you get older, you'll strike it rich. Like if you start investing, and I'm talking about monetarily, in like yeah, retirement early, like you could probably retire a lot earlier. But the young me, I wasn't thinking about investing, and even the old people I know don't think about investing. So I would also say invest your money in a way that it can grow for you. So as you get older, by the time you're 50, you could probably be a millionaire just by putting in, you know, X amount of dollars into account every month.
If you could tell someone out there who may be just getting on their path, maybe a career switcher towards their best life, what would you say to them?
I think the very first thing I would say is to seek out your passion. Find out what your passion and your gift is first. Because Until you know what you're on this earth for, you're going to be like a bit of grass in the wind, just flowing. You have no purpose in life. So I would tell that person to just focus on like finding out what uh, their reason for being on this earth is. And once you find that reason, because we all have one, everything that God created has a reason for being here. Once you find that reason, then start working on that.
Where can anyone who is watching get in contact with you? What's your web address, business address? How can they purchase your books? What are the titles of your books? Give us some information.
Really on social media the most now. I used to have a website, but people are more on social media. So you can find me on Facebook, Natalie Simone, or on Instagram, Natalie Simone 5. Also, my web series has its own Instagram, which is Girls Just Don't Do That on Instagram. So that's probably the best way to find me. That's where I post all my projects. People could reach me through that. So.
All right. Well, thank you again. So happy that we got this chance to speak today. And if you like what you saw today, don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And again, thank you all for being here. Thank you very much, Miss Natalie Simone. I appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
All right. Looking forward to some additional work coming out from you, I'm sure, in the near future. All right. Yeah. And again, thank you everybody for being here, and have a great day. We'll see you on our next episode. Bye-bye.